to another stream. The hair is starting to get a bit messy. So today I thought we would do the story of Noble. So what I mean by this is I thought I would do a stream where I talk about the story of how I sort of became about. So I've spoken about this quite a few times, sort of on the channel in various different ways and formats. And I also went on to a podcast last year with Media that you should definitely go and check out. It was a really enjoyable sort of opportunity to go down and kind of be on this podcast. However, there was a couple of things with the podcast for me that I just kind of felt wasn't really spot on. One of the main things was the guy who was interviewing me really wanted to talk a little bit more about like music production. He wanted to talk more about a like funny sketch series that I filmed with the layman called Hullenders, which don't get me wrong, like it was a really fun and enjoyable thing to do. But as an artist and pushing myself as an artist, I wanted to talk a little bit more about me, sort of where I sort of came from and how I sort of got to sort of what I was doing now, which I did kind of talk about that in the podcast, but a lot of the time it kind of went back to sort of talking about music production, and music production is only a small thing, but what I've done over the years, and I suppose in sense what I'm still sort of doing now, if that makes sense. So I wanted to do this stream just for people that, because I do a lot of different things, and there's a lot of people that know me for the different things that I do, but they might not know me for the other things I do. So, for example, the reels that blew up on TikTok, a lot of people just know me for doing the reels, and they might then people that have watched the reels, they might not realize that I do music production. They might not realize that I DJ. They might just think, oh, it's MC Noble. They don't know that it's Ash Noble. You know, so a lot of people look at the old videos and think, like I'm that same person when everything has changed and everything has progressed. So for the new viewers, we're going to go all the way back. We're going to go all the way back in time. And we're going to briefly just start off actually before I was born. And I know this sounds really crazy, but for those who don't know me, I suppose I'm Ash Noble. My real name is Ashley Noble, and basically, I I am an artist, but basically, I'm just a person who loves music. So, all of my life, I have been brought up around like dance music, house music, hard house, trance, clubland, bounce, hardcore. Um, so I started off really into like classic house and retro house, and then as I got a bit older, I sort of discovered that there was like other genres of music that I actually like. So it dates back before I was born, where essentially my mum would tell me stories. Well, she told me stories that before I was born, she would basically she would be playing music and I would be moving around in the stomach, sort of raving to music. And then when I was born and when I was kind of growing up, my parents were they were big ravers, they were big party animals. So a lot of weekends they would go to nightclubs and they'd go out to raves and events and they'd go out. They'd call it clubbing. They went to more like house nights and trance nights and they went to hard house and stuff, but they didn't go to like happy hardcore raves as such. But I think they knew what it was, but it wasn't really the thing that they went to. So I would go and stay at my grandparents. Obviously, you know that was the babysitters back then. But back in them days, a lot of people nowadays won't really know. People have it too close to home with the likes of SoundCloud and Spotify, and Deezer and all these other sites. But back in them days, you would go to nights out, and the way of kind of, I suppose, like getting something out from the night out is you'd get a mixed CD. So like what one of the DJs or like the event promoter would put this CD together, and you could more than likely buy this CD at the event, or they'd give out a free CD on the door. So although I wasn't going to these events and going to these raves, I was getting the sort of the privilege and the opportunity, um, you know, I'd get to listen to these CDs. So I was still kind of, in some sense, getting a little piece of the rave, just without being there. And then we kind of, as I was a kid, I had these little ideas about wanting to write songs, and I remember me and my nan, we wrote this really wacky song, you know, and it was so wacky at the time. It was about going to a party or something. We had a guitar, and I didn't even know how to even play the guitar. I think we just had it given or something. Um, play a video game or make music instead of just randomly rapping on for 2 hours, mate. Hopefully, this isn't going to be 2 hours to start with. And secondly, this stream is a stream about talking. I do other things on the channel. That isn't just me talking. I do things where I'm making music. I do showcase music that I'm making. So if this isn't for you, then maybe hop out of this stream and go to something else where I'm not babbling on, or come back in another day or two. I might not be babbling on, although I do a lot of streams where I do just talk, but I do things where I'm making music, and I don't play video games. I had another channel for playing video games. I don't post on there anymore because I sort of I got to a stage where I grew out of really playing video games, and I was just finding it boring. So I play them now and again in my spare time, but that's about as far as it goes. So yes, I was getting a hint of these CDs, listening to them. When my mum and dad weren't going raving, they would quite often be still having a drink at the weekend. They'd still be getting on it. They'd still be going to house parties. And if they didn't have a babysitter, then I'd get dragged along to these house parties. So I'm like playing the PS2 in someone's front room, and they're all kind of having a party in the kitchen. And I'm hearing the music going off. I'm influenced by the rave music that's going off, and I always kind of um, I always kind of rated that. I think I just sort of grew up around the music. And then, like I say, I attempted writing songs with my nan, and then a friend of mine from school, we was gonna form this, was gonna write songs, and we were gonna make it big, and we was proper buzzed about it, like it was gonna be a proper thing, and we were just sort of chatting out of our asses, really, because none of us could sing, none of us could play the guitar, so we do, we'd write some lyrics that, for the time were probably quite sick for the time. And they were probably quite good, like, and they probably could have been made into something if, like, a half decent songwriter got hold of them, and somebody who could actually sing would sing them. But like we couldn't really do it ourselves, so we just did it for a bit of fun, really. But in our minds at that time, we thought, it's going to be something sort of like sick and wicked. And then my mum and dad, I want to say unfortunately separated, but I think as the years have gone on, I think, I kind of look back like, what, I'm glad you separated. And who my mum was kind of going out with after my dad, he had a pair of Technics 1210s, which was kind of, it wasn't my first introduction to DJ decks. There was somebody, a friend of ours, who DJ'd my 5th birthday party, and I only vaguely remember it. I remember having a party. I remember playing Pass the Parcel, And I do vaguely remember him having decks, but that's about it. And I think, I was quite fascinated by them. And I think, I was quite fascinated at the time. But who my mum was going out with after my dad, he had a pair of Technics, and I got quite intrigued. I was quite interested. I kind of liked how they worked. I was quite buzzed because at the time, like, I'd kind of been told that, like, the top DJs mix on these and stuff like that, and I was kind of like, whoa, this is cool. And he had this like real big sort of like vinyl collection, and I was really fascinated with the fact that, these big sort of 12-inch circles could fit on this record player. And little sort of cool fact is that some of them records, well, most of them, some of them I've actually sold on now, but a good chunk of them, they actually sit in here behind me. And yeah, so I began just sort of having a little play around. I wouldn't really. I think he did try to show me how to beat match, but I think at the time I was just, in my mind, I was probably just a bit too young to really understand what I was doing in regards to beat matching. So I used to just put like records on, and then I used to go on a microphone, and I used to be like, we're live on the radio, pretending I'm on a radio station and I'm bringing this next track in. And I was just fascinated with putting the records on, and the records were playing, and then it'd finish, and I'd put the next one on, that kind of thing, which was really crazy. And then it got to, I think by this point, it got to around 2013. And by this point, I had sort of, in my mind, I sort of thought, you know what? Like, I've got this love for rave music. I've had a little play around on decks and stuff in the past, but I wouldn't really class it as really doing anything other than just, playing a record. And then I found Virtual DJ, a free software that was available to download. It was free at the time. Back in them days, you didn't have to pay a license for DJ software. So I was playing around with this software. I liked it. And one day, my dad came past my bedroom, and he was, so what's this you're playing on? And I was kind of like, it's a free DJ software. I'm quite interested in DJing and stuff. Wanting to give it a go, kind of thing. So he took me round to one of his friends' house, who was a DJ and had been a DJ for quite a few years. I wouldn't really say anything that you would really call a massive DJ, not somebody who played massive festivals, but someone who just played the club in the local town, and probably played a lot of house parties, and probably did a few localish things back in the day. And just took me round basically to have a little bit of a discussion about what would be best to go in terms of getting some form of a controller for me for Christmas. And at the time, we spoke about a Traktor Control S2, which they're not horrible bits of equipment, but now I'm definitely a lot more experienced, and now I've been on various different things, and obviously equipment's changed a lot in the 10 years as well. But even back then, there was a lot better things. But he said, for something to start off on, it was an absolutely, just an absolute go-to in terms of, getting sort of like, your first sort of controller kind of thing. And then it had this like different software, this like its own Traktor software, and it was just a pain. You had to do all this stuff with native instruments, and it wasn't like, just plug your wire into your laptop and then virtual DJ recognizes it, and you're good to go. It was a lot more, and it felt like, the software was all foreign to what I'd kind of got used to with the virtual and stuff like that. And then I got the controller for Christmas. I was still buzzed. I got some speakers and stuff, and disco lights and a smoke machine, and really just sort of, got this little, almost like a little mobile DJ setup, which was absolutely wicked. And then we kind of set up in the shed in the back of my nan's house. We made a little studio out of it. And I used to think I was somebody like off of Ibiza, just playing some mad set in Ibiza. And at the time, I didn't know how to even like DJ. I didn't, I had no clue what I was doing. I couldn't do it. So in the early days, I used to just put already recorded mixes on and film videos to make it look like I was DJing. And then I used to use the sync button and do like little mashups and things, and they sounded absolutely terrible, but at the time they were really good. And then started a little Facebook page, which is the Facebook page I still use today, funnily enough. And then that was it. Began this like little mad DJing era. Called myself DJ Madhead. For I just don't honestly why I chose that name, but at the time at school there was this like banter going around, like where everybody had saying like, "Oh, you're a madhead, you," and stuff like that. So at the time it was a little bit like, I've got to be called DJ Madhead, and then we used that for so long, and then I decided that let's vote for a name change, and then I went to DJ Raver, which, in all honesty, is just the most stupidest name ever. And it's probably the most, like, the amount of people out there, there is probably so many bedroom DJs and so many so-and-so DJs that have actually just probably called themselves DJ Raver. Like, if I put that into YouTube, and I might just do it now, there is probably going to be so many people that are actually just called DJ Raver. Like, it is such a generic name. So let's have a look. So, it comes up with DJ Rankin. Oh, that's mad. But I bet there's I Am a Raver. Bob Sinclair. World, hold on. Timberland, Calvin Harris. Mashups. Fisher losing it. Do you know what? Like, it actually doesn't come up with anybody called DJ Raver, but I would imagine that there probably is some form of DJ out there that has decided that they are going to do some form of, DJing sort of passion, and they'll call themselves DJ Raver. And then it all went terribly wrong for me. And at the time, I looked at it as a bad thing because I thought, it kind of was a bad thing. But looking obviously back now, sitting where I'm sat now, like sometimes bad things have to happen for like good things to happen, if that makes sense. So I'd been DJing, I'd been pushing, I'd been promoting myself, I'd been doing some pretty cool bits and bobs at the time, just having a bit of fun. And my social media was just ever so slightly starting to grow. People from school giving it a like, and like, oh, it's DJ Noble, mate. Even though I was called Madhead, it was just it's DJ Noble, mate. And then a friend of mine that I thought was a friend of mine, somebody who I'd known for a lot of years, somebody that I classed a friend, who kind of turned out not to be a friend, did quite a horrible little prank on me, or a little trick or a little joke, and I really took it to heart. Really, really took it to heart. So what had happened is I had been DJing with this controller, and of course, as you know, controllers, you need software. So a lot of DJs have like a laptop. Well, at the time, I only had a Windows PC. It was a big tower PC, and that was my only way of being able to do any form of DJing on that controller. So in order to do like any gigs or to take anything away with me mobile, I needed some form of laptop. And what I thought was, who I thought was a so-called friend, was having a birthday party and had decided to ask me if I would DJ this party. So for me at the time, it was a proper buzz. It was like a dream come true. It was that first booking. It was that first gig. Somebody wanted me to DJ somewhere. It was a real excitement. It was an absolute. Just honestly, it was something mental. It was mad. Um, so at the time, obviously, I had this massive computer, and we needed like a laptop. We needed some form of laptop because well, I was damned if I was going to cart this big computer with me to gigs. It just it wasn't really feasible. Massive big computer tower, computer screen, keyboard, mouse, alongside everything else I would have been taking, blah blah blah. So at the time, my nan had been in the thoughts of getting herself a laptop because she was having one of them moments where she thought, I'm going to have to move with the times. It might be good if I got a laptop and started just sort of learning and starting to browse the internet, and it would just be quite good. Get Facebook, keep in touch with people, kind of thing. And then I needed a laptop for the gig. So she decided to stretch her bank balance quite early and basically get this laptop early, when she couldn't really afford it, but she knew I needed it, and she was helping me out, and she jumped the gun. And we got it early, and I didn't have a Scooby Doo about putting software onto like the laptops at this point. I was still quite sort of newbie-ish, and we got one of our friends to do it, who was, he's quite clued up on computers and stuff, and we've known him for years. So we paid him, and he put all the software on it for me, and he gave me a load of songs, loads of 90s dance, loads of hit tunes, and just absolutely amazing stuff, that I would essentially be able to take to this party. Loads of albums and stuff that he'd had, that he'd just shared over, and that he'd basically said, look, you can use this to DJ. So I was absolutely buzzed. I had all these tunes. I had the laptop I wanted. Well, there wasn't a specific laptop I really wanted, but I had one that was running the software, so I was happy. I was playing like mad on this computer, on this laptop, with all this software and all these tunes, and I was proper like really just going for it, and really just having like the best time ever playing all of these tunes. And I was proper buzzed about the party. I was just going on the decks as much as I could and just playing, and just anything to be having to go on the controller. And then it got to the night of the party, and I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't heard anything. I was, just like really just having this like really just having this, like, what's going on. It's got to the day, I'm not hearing anything. And then it got to the evening, and I was texting and I was hearing nothing back. Like, I was still, still wanting you for this party. And then I text somebody else in the end, who was going to the party, and said, like, what's happening? Am I still wanted to DJ here? And then he was like, oh, I think they've got somebody else, mate. And then I got a message like, did you actually think we'd want you to DJ at this party? And it really kind of upset me, at the time, because I thought this person was a so-called friend, and yeah, all right. I would have probably been absolutely shocking as a DJ, because I was brand new. I was somebody just kind of starting out, and yeah, at the time it really, really upset me. And then another friend was having a party, and he just basically did a very similar thing, where he just said, look, I want you to come and DJ at this party. But he wasn't nasty about it. He was just like, look, we don't want you for this party now. And it was only like a house party thing at the time, but it was a big thing for me at the time. And it just upset me. You know, the guy didn't do it in sort of any nastiness, not like the other person did. But I took it to heart, you know, as you do. So in the end, I decided that I don't think there was really any point that I decided as such that like I didn't sit there one day and think like I don't want to do this anymore. It was more the fact that it just upset me. So like I didn't want to go on the controller. And then I just started doing other things instead, like playing video games again, and the controller just started collecting dust. And then I went to college and learnt motorcycle maintenance, and everything had just kind of changed, and everything was just, you know. And then in the end, my dad was like, you know, what you doing with this controller anymore? Do you not want it? And then it had just kind of been that long since I'd actually been on it, that I just kind of said that no, I don't really use it anymore. And then the controller kind of went, and then I didn't really have a use for the speakers anymore. So I was just like, you know, I could get a bit of money for these speakers, and then the disco lights, you know, again, not really got a use for the disco lights, so the disco lights went, and then you know, and I got rid of loads of stuff that theoretically like I shouldn't have got rid of. Really, like they weren't really, you know, they were good bits of equipment really. And then I got rid of a bar as well. We used to have the shed as a bar when I was younger, and we used to do like family parties when it was Christmas and Halloween. And basically, what had happened is we had basically done this. Like, you know, I just like used the bar as a bit of a DJ booth and just stood the decks on top of it really. And that was kind of literally what we'd done in that sense. And then I just got rid of it, and it was like we'd paid quite a lot of money for it, and I got, you know, somewhat like dirt cheap for it, and just, you know, shouldn't have got rid of it really. But now looking back, like, you know, things happen for a reason. So the DJing side had gone; it had been put to bed, and then that was when MC Noble was born. So now we move on to the MC Noble era. So we fast forward to about a year later. So it's been a lot of time. I've still loved music. I still listen to it. You know, I still blasted me rave tunes and stuff, but I just kind of, you know, I was just doing that and playing video games and going to college, and I got bikes on the road and stuff like that, essentially. And it was like a big thing, you know, that I was just kind of, you know, doing that instead. And then one day, currently at the time, I was playing the PlayStation with a friend, and it was just an online friend who I've come to I still talk to him now from time to time. But yeah, we were just playing video games at the time, and you know, we join religiously, like, you know, in a chat party with each other like most days, and play games and stuff on a night. One day you know, I'd come home from college, I'd had my tea and all that, and I'd gone online, and you know, we joined the chat party, and he was blasting Pat Flynn in the background, and he was listening to this Pat Flynn. And he just said to me, he said like, you should do something like this. You should do some MCing. And at the time, I was like that, you know, like, whoa, there is no way that I could ever do anything like that. Like, it's just mad that you actually sit there and you think that I could do something like that. And I don't think he actually could. I think he was just having a bit of a joke, like, oh, you should do something like this. Um, and then a couple of days later, for whatever reason, I was quite intrigued by what he'd been listening to. So I looked it up, you know, oh, what was you listening to the other day? And then he said, and then searched it up, and I realised that he's got lyrics on the screen of what, you know, what he's spitting. So back in the day, round the late 08, 09 era, I got heavily into the Blackout Crew. It was where I first kind of found my love for the donk music. And I used to love them, and I'd learnt some of the words, and I used to sort of sing along to the songs and stuff. And then obviously the Blackout Crew sort of they went their separate ways, and it was when Cobra sort of started going solo and doing stuff sort of not as the Blackout Crew, and then some of the other sort of members had gone on to do their own other things and stuff, and it was sort of that time where people had taken a break and stuff like that. And I think the bounce music had gone a little bit shallow. It was drying out a bit. It wasn't like it was when I got into it. They weren't doing the Ultimate Energy CDs anymore and stuff. So this kind of like Pat Flynn and these freestyle videos and these grime videos and these little MC disses had all started coming about, and the Irish MCs were kind of booming at this point, and everybody was watching them. So I got learning these Pat Flynn lyrics, and I put a video up, and I remember very very clearly I put this video up where I MC'd these old these Pat Flynn lyrics, and just said me doing the Pat Flynn Love Inside. That was literally what I titled it, and put it on the page that was originally the DJ page, and just put the video up, and then of course it got likes and shares from like people around school and stuff, and that I'd gone to school with, and people from within my local town and stuff, which was absolutely crazy. And then a couple of days later I decided, for whatever reason, that I was going to write my own I was going to just write my own little MC, and then that's when MC Noble was born. That kind of started out just as a bit of fun. Like, I never really thought in any way, shape or form that it would go to kind of where it went to. That was kind of like a really mad thing for me, because it started out just as a bit of fun. So it was just me, and I was just doing my own, just little MC videos for fun, writing these little lyrics and spitting them over these beats. And these beats were, they were good beats, but I was all over the place. I was out of time. I needed a lot of practice and stuff like that. But for me, it was just a bit of fun. And then as I kind of, I was doing it more. I was kind of like, I was enjoying it, and then I was like, do you know what? Like, I want to keep this up actually. Like, I'm enjoying doing this, and then I suppose like I gradually got a little bit more better at it because I was doing it more. So like my timing and my flow was sort of improving, and I was trying. I suppose at the time, like, I was listening to these other MCs and kind of wanting to kind of do what they were doing and be like what they were doing. So at the time, it wasn't like be your own unique person. It was more like, I want to spit like Pat Flynn's spitting. I want to use beats like what he's using. So that was kind of like where it started. And I used to write my own stuff down, and then I used to nick a few lines from other people, and and then add them into my own stuff. And then it got to a point where I attempted to do my first freestyle, where I wouldn't write anything down, and I'd just put a beat on and start rhyming whatever sort of came to my brain. The camera used to be fully black, like literally, like it would be like that or fully black, because I wasn't confident showing myself on camera. Then it got to the point where I would, and everybody from like around my town and people I went to school with, and people like in the year above me and the year below me and 2 years above me, they all used to be like, oh, give us a shout out in your next video, and then I'd have a list of people to shout out, and it became a little era in its thing, as sort of cringy as it is looking back now. It really was that little era of like one, like I did a track called One Bed Flat, and I think arguably that would probably have been like the biggest track that I did at the time. like loads of people loved it, and people like there's even still some people that mention it today, and they're just people that probably don't support anymore. They don't realise half the stuff that I do now, and they still live in that era. They still live in that past, and they still think that's who I am. And I'll spit the one bed flat noble, and I'm thinking like, to me, like it wasn't a horrible rhyme, but like it by far wasn't the best rhyme in it, and no offenses, but like it's near like next year like it'll be 10 years old, like that rhyme will be 10 years old. So for me, it was kind of like that thing of like, like it's 10 years old, like and nothing ever really properly ever happened with it, like I'm kind of happy for it to kind of go to bed really. It's not a massively mentioned song, but mainly just people from in the town where I lived, which was Driffield. They'll mention it sort of from time to time, like, oh, like one bed flat, like was a sick track, that kind of thing, and I'm like, move on, move on. Different times now, move on from that day. So we had that kind of era, and then a couple of years into the MCing, I got an opportunity to do my first ever gig, and this kind of feels a little bit like the story of the DJing, only this time the gig was to take place. The gig took place, and I played at my local rugby club in Driffield at the time, and I went on stage in between a band and a Black Elvis Presley impersonator. So it was like a coloured person who basically would sing like Elvis Presley songs, basically. Like a tribute act for Elvis Presley. And then there was a band that went on after me, and I was very lucky enough that I could use one of the microphones that the band member was. I think actually it was the Elvis singer that allowed me to use his mic, and I just did a couple of tracks basically, and did just a bit of a showcase of what I was kind of doing at the time. They all loved it, and I got paid for doing the gig. It was only something like I'd gone on the mic for like half an hour in this little rugby club, 25 minutes or something like that. And they'd given me like 25 quid for it, which I was happy, for a first ever booking, as an MC kind of thing. It was like a really solid thing in that sense. And then they also passed like an empty beer glass round. People like filled it with change, and I think I got around probably another 10, 15 quid of people just putting like pound coins into this cup. And I think somebody at one point did actually put like a £5 note in. And at the time I was in this era now where I'd sort of started to discover going out. So like I'd started going out to the pubs, and I wouldn't say I'd become a heavy drinker, but I'd definitely become somebody who would like have his beers and then get on the shots and stuff. Which that was an era in itself as well that I enjoy, but like I'm obviously I'm glad I don't drink now. But anyway, we did this gig. It was really good. And then I went back to town, and then went out round town, and just sort of celebrated with these wages. It had kind of like become beer money for me in that sense, which was that was a good thing at the time. Um, that is absolutely a buzz for me at the time. It was money that I could use on this night out that really for me wasn't really coming out of my own pocket. And at the time, I wasn't. I was quite a lightweight when it comes to drink. Like I could drink a fair bit, but what I suppose I'm meaning is like I didn't need loads of drink to get drunk, if that makes sense. So like, I'd gone to the gig. They'd obviously given me, I'd probably had about I think I'd had about 3 beers while I was at the rugby club, and then I'd made my way back into town. I got picked up, I think, and then I came back home, and like, oh, it went really well. And then I'd obviously gone back out to Star, and carried on the celebrations, and stuff, you know. Um, Oh yeah, so I just reading a message. So yeah, I'd gone out round the town, and while I'd been at this gig, the band that was on after us, there was a member in the band, and he quite liked what I'd done, and he was like, "Look, I've got this little studio set up at my house. You should come round one day, and I'll record some stuff for you." So we did that. We did that. So I went to his house. We did a couple of EPs together, where he recorded me, and it was actually really like just quite intrigued at like how I just like take this beat and start spitting on it. And by this point, I wouldn't say like I was really good at MCing, but from where I'd first started, I definitely just for me definitely I just had this like um I don't know. I'd improved, I guess. And then we came on to sort of like 2018, and I had a pretty bad year, to be honest. I didn't really do. Um, I still kept MCing, but I didn't really push myself all too much. There was a lot of things going on just outside of music. We're having a bit of a stressful time. But for Christmas of the 2017, I got speakers. I got like a little mic mixer because I decided because I thought like the type of gig I'd done at the rugby club was the type of gigs that I was going to continue getting. So I thought like it would be good to start getting my own equipment, and I didn't even think of like raves and going on the mic for people's sets at raves and stuff like that. Had kind of like that was something that I just never thought would happen. So I kind of decided to try and go down the mobile route as an MC, and like, oh, somebody who will like jump on tracks and spit bars at your party kind of thing. Got the equipment and never really went any further than having the equipment, which that speaker there that you see behind me is part of the only part of the original equipment. So there was that. There was a Behringer mic mixer, and then there was some microphones to go with it at the time, which I've had countless mics over the years now. And then 2018, I did a lot of stuff at home. I was quite heavily into gaming still, and the gaming had really kind of taken a thing for me. We were doing a lot of like YouTube gaming videos, and the MCing had just really kind of taken a little bit of a slack. And then sort of towards late 2018, 2018, I took one big decision. Decided to audition for Britain's Got Talent. That was one thing that I decided to do, and basically I auditioned. I signed up to audition. It was like a big thing. I went over to Manchester and did an audition. Which, looking back on it now, like I can understand why I wouldn't have got onto telly, but it was an experience. Obviously, like I say, I didn't get on. And then late 2018, I decided that something had to change, and I got to this sort of like thinking of it's it's like messing around playing video games or it's music. And I decided that I've got to start pushing the music more. I've got to really start doing more, stop being daft, and if I really want to take this music to the next level, then I've got to really push myself music wise. So I converted my shed in the garden into again another music studio, but this time I gave it like like a proper full coat of paint, and really fixed the whole place up, and we got the place re-roofed, and I put a new carpet down, and we really pushed it, and really painted it, and I had all these records at this point, and we just like really started to push myself, and it was this space to do all the music stuff, which was absolutely mad. And then I'd also picked up a DJ controller at this point again, not really to get back into DJing, but it was just something to have in the shed. And by this point, Virtual DJ had just started this like where you need a license to play with the controller. So we did that, and then obviously didn't pay for the license. So I used it like again. I used it once in a blue moon, and then literally I used mainly just like the mic and the speakers and the mic mixer, and set up this shed really. And then 2019, I would say it was probably one of the it was the best, and it was the final year really of like the proper, what I would call the real MC Noble. It was the final year for the real MC Noble. So late 2018, I'd found a guy online, and he goes by the name of Dave Fallows, and obviously I know him quite well now. He was doing a radio station called Whole Dance Radio at the time, and he did a little show on there on a Friday. I'd happened to come across a post, and he was looking for MCs for this radio show. Like someone just to go on the mic while he's mixing. He was playing the fast hard rave tunes, and I thought, I really like this, and I want to get into sort of more of the fast MCing and the fast rapping. So I had a little chat with him, and I never ended up going on to the radio show. However, he said in January of 2019, I'm launching an event called Stomping, and you're welcome to come down, and I'll let you have a go on the mic. So I was like absolutely belting. This is sick. I'll be there. And it came to the day of the event, and on the same day as the event, it was a mate's birthday party. So we'd gone out round Beverley during the day for my mate's birthday, and basically I just decided that I'm not gonna go to this event. Like I'm having a good time with my mates. They weren't coming to the event; it wasn't really their thing. So they basically, I stayed with them. I didn't get to the event, and then I went to the second event. I decided that I'm going to attend the second event. Why not? So I went to the second event. I was absolutely like shitting a brick. Didn't know any of these people. Never met these people before. Really just went there on my own. Had no one to go with me, and never didn't really have any sort of idea of really what to expect or what I was going to do. So I went to this event. The guy who runs it had obviously recognised me, and throughout the night it was kind of like, oh, go on the mic if you want. And I didn't have the courage. I wasn't really brave enough to go on the mic at this point. I was like, oh God, no, don't put me on the mic, please. And then basically, in the end, I went on with another MC just briefly. Probably only went on for about 5 minutes or something. It was a proper buzz to me. And from that point, I was sold. I was like, do you know what? Like, I really enjoyed that. So I went to the next event in March, which they had it in a little bit of a bigger club. And then I got a little chance to go on the mic, and by this point, I'd still been pushing myself online, so people I'd been meeting at these events did kind of like They added me online, and then they'd started to see like, oh, this guy is sort of trying to push himself as an MC. So there was a bit more like, yeah, let's let him have a go. So I'd have a little bit of a go on the mic. And then it come obviously to the next event, which the April, and again I went down to the event, and basically again I just could support the vibe, but then it was like, I have a little go on the mic, and then I got a message late April, early May. It was like, you there, mate? From the promoter, and he sent me a picture of the flyer, and boom, my name was on the flyer, and it was like one of the happiest moments of my entire life back then. And I still, even though a lot has changed in myself, my music, everything I'm doing today, that was, for me, it was still a moment in my career, because it was that first time that I'm on kind of like I'm on a rave flyer for the first time, you know like I've in my eyes, I've done this event good enough, when they've been letting me go on the mic, that it was time to basically, it was time to go on the flyer kind of thing. And then I was like proper buzzed, and I got this slot, and I was just proper excited, and then it just went on from there, really. Still kept attending the events. They'd put me on the mic still. They'd let me have a go on the mic, and then I then got invited to go down to Scarborough, and go on the mic and stuff like that, which was like a really cool thing. And then 2019 saw probably my best physical like online year. So I did the MC, which was about the neighbour's arse, the one that's now going viral on TikTok, and that originally got shared on a page called Sound of the Northeast, and it was massive. It hit 500,000 views. Did the neighbour's arse, which was absolutely mind blowing at the time, and loads of people commenting blah blah blah. And then I had a little bit of an argument with the page owner, and the page owner got the page shut down. Well, apparently he claims I got it shut down, but the page had shut down. And we got into a bit of a beef and an argument, and I just couldn't be bothered with it at the time, so I left it, carried on, went in my own lane. I thought, that page was just full of so many like just trolls, just people that had nothing nice to say, people that like you'd go into the comments of like some of the videos that have been posted on that page, and like, if parents could see what their kids were writing online, like you'd be like disgusted with them. um so I wasn't, as much as it was a little bit of like, oh, that video with all them views has gone off of that page. It was kind of a good thing to see that page go. But yeah, so that happened, and then of course I filmed the Scarborough Beach, the one that still goes viral now as well. When I say Scarborough, you say beach, and that at that time for me, that was just, the Old Town Road was blowing up. Let's do a parody. It'll bring views in. It'll give myself, a little bit of a boost. I hadn't had a video in recent that had really gone viral, like the out in the garden ad. So it was time to do something else. So I did that something else. It went viral. I kind of now regret that it went viral, but it was still kind of a good thing, I suppose, at the time. And then we got through 2019, and then 2020 came, and I had some things in the pipeline. I got put back onto another stomping, so we started the year being on another event flyer. I did like a drum and bass night, and then I also had another one back in Scarborough in the pipeline. For Christmas of 2019, I got a pair of decks again. I decided that not as such that I wanted to DJ again, But I wanted to sort of DJ online. I wanted to do like online radio stations, and I just wanted to have a little sort of go at mixing. Me and a friend of mine, we had sort of become like a little bit of a rap duo. We'd sort of started doing this kind of like, where we'd do rap songs together, going sort of as the name Bar to Bar. We started off originally as Fire and Smoke, and then we went Bar to Bar because it was like, he spits a bar and then I spit a bar kind of thing. And then we got FL Studio to sort of like start writing beats, very sort of basic kind of thing, but not really too intense. And then 2020 obviously brought the coronavirus. It brought the lockdown, and obviously everything that had been happening with COVID had come into place, and don't go out, don't socialise. And by this point, my MCing journey, it had changed quite drastically, and I'd got this real like, I just got that kind of taste of starting to go out into nightclubs, to start gigging, and I realised quickly that in the clubs was where I wanted to be, and that has obviously not changed. So when the lockdown hit, it kind of, for me, it really became this kind of like, well, hang on a second, we can't go in the clubs, what's the point? So I actually focused the lockdown on learning to DJ. I thought, I've done a good 6 years of this MCing now. It's been a really, really good journey. I've hit goals and achieved things that I never thought I'd achieve. But now it's kind of time to start, doing some other things, give myself a little bit of a break. So I decided to start learning to mix. Got my new marks, started mixing, all of that stuff. Got some vinyl, learned to start playing vinyl. Got the turntables and stuff, and then like I say, with the lockdowns, just kept sort of doing all of this DJing stuff. Friend of mine, the Layman, we do a lot of stuff together, which we'll come on to, because he plays a big part in this kind of era of my journey, kind of coming sort of towards the end of the 2019, the MC Noble at what I would say was the prime of MC Noble, where I would put videos out all the time of me spitting bars, and I'd really push it. And I'd met this guy. We'd done a couple of tracks together where we'd rap and stuff, and he'd been quite a positive guy. And he launched Layman Radio, started playing on Layman Radio, because I thought, yeah, this would be a cool thing, and it's something to do throughout the lockdowns. So I think I used to play on a Tuesday or something like that, or something like that, Monday, Tuesday, at one point, and then it was just basically getting back into DJing. Then I took the decision to move from Driffield to Hull. So 2019, obviously, I'd started going to the stompings. I'd started making friends in Hull, going to friends' houses, and basically we had gone to, I'd made all these friends, and I felt like the life in Driffield just wasn't for me anymore. So I took the decision to move, and that's when everything sort of spiraled and kind of blew up again. I was doing all these sort of like radio streams, and just bettered the music really. Began DJing more. The mic just slowly got like further and further away. Like I'd jump on it now and again, but I just wanted to DJ. That was kind of all I wanted to do. Got into music production, really trying to learn FL Studio, writing kind of like hardcore tracks and stuff. And just this whole sort of change in kind of, I guess, what you see now was slowly coming into effect, and it's 2024. This was 2020 when this sort of very basically first started. So as you can see, like 3-4 years before it came into effect, and with the MCing, it was like 2015 to 2019. So like five had four, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it was that sort of 3-4 years before things really came into effect. Like and they're only really sort of really starting to go into effect over the past couple of years. So, we did all the DJing stuff. The radio kind of went a little bit dead, unfortunately. Carried on, started streaming for some other pages and stuff like that. And then when we came out of lockdown, I started getting my first few bookings to DJ at like raves and stuff like that, which was where it really started for me. Production just really started to carry that on, and then last year was like a big year for me with production, where I started to get my first few sort of like releases on Excite and stuff, and that started doing just loads of stuff, the Jiggerman and Noble stuff, so like rapping over reggae stuff. That was something that I'd got quite sort of enjoyment out of doing. But through all of that, there was always like the hardcore MC Noble fans that wanted out in the garden, they wanted Scarborough Beach, they wanted me to spit bars, they wanted me to freestyle, they wanted all that old stuff, and that part of me had changed. But I always knew, because I had the loyal fans, that like it's not going to be as easy as you would think. And I tried to juggle both. I tried sort of MCing and DJing, and it was just, there was either going to be one or the other. So earlier this year, I took a decision. It was either the MCing or the DJing. Like, one of them had to go on the back burner, and unfortunately, it was the MCing that went onto the back burner. A lot of people was a little bit like, wow, why? And I just thought, it is what it is, and then I left it at that. I wasn't really prepared to make a big deal out of it. I wasn't really, I couldn't be bothered to do no, like, I know it sounds mad, because the MC Noble era was such a big thing. I wasn't going to do like a big bye-bye, it's been a great journey, because although I was kind of putting the mic to the side, it wasn't really, I wasn't giving it up as such, and even to this day now, like, I still do MC, so like I wouldn't really say that I've like really fully given it up, so I still kind of do it, and I do the reggae tracks with the layman, and I do hip hop stuff, and I still spit bars on tracks and do things and do bits and bobs. I just don't do it like I did. So I'm still there, and I still do odd little bits in the background, but I just thought it would kind of be better to phase out the old MC Noble and bring in this new Ash Noble, rather than this big like, oh, bye bye, it's been great. So I just kind of decided that I would just kind of slowly start continuing with the DJing stuff, promote that, push that even more. And then this year we went on to sort of have our biggest sort of year to date, doing over 30 gigs. But it's mad. So, we go all the way back to 10 years ago, where I got that first little Tractor Control S2, and we now fast forward to 2024, where I've played on lineups with the likes of Friday Night Posse, Club Filler, Scott Brown, Karen Parry, Kelly Lorena, Flip and Phil, Andy Whitby, loads of people to mention, been an absolutely amazing vibe that I've had that opportunity. DJ Vibes, I've done some absolutely amazing stuff. It's been, it's been a mad thing. It's been a mad old journey. But I just wanted to share. We've streamed for just over an hour, but I wanted to share the story. And no doubt in a couple of years' time, I'll do another stream and I'll share the story because, I think, that there is a story from that little guy who loved his rave tunes growing up as a kid to having a little play around on his mum's boyfriend's pair of Technics to rapping and MCing to the Blackout Crew in the late noughties to having a whole sort of MC era to then having a DJ era that kind of didn't really evolve into anything to then kind of having a DJ era that is now kind of evolving into something. And I'm grateful. I stream and sometimes only 2 people watch. I stream and sometimes 3 people watch, sometimes 12 people come in. I stream and sometimes people leave comments. And, they're not always the nicest comments on planet Earth, but they're comments. I post things online and, they might get 2 likes. I post things online, they might get 20 likes. I'm grateful for every single thing that has happened within this music journey. And like, I say, going back, it's like the jigsaws all come together. Things happen for a reason. I played on them vinyl turntables all them years ago for a reason. I started a little DJing journey for a reason. It just wasn't the right time. But there was a reason why I wanted to do it in the first place. There's a reason why I came back to it. The MCing era, going back to spitting to them Blackout Crew tunes in the late noughties, there was something to it. Back then, I didn't know back then that in 2015 I was going to start an MC journey, but, I started an MC journey for a reason, and even though I've kind of put the MC journey to bed, I haven't just done all of that 6 years for nothing. And even since then, the other 4 years, I've still done bits on the mic, I've still done gigs on the mic, I've done a lot of things on the mic. I just, I wasn't the forefront. It wasn't the forefront. So there's the story. People might watch this back, they might think I've just babbled on. People might want to listen to the story. So feel free to do so. Like, comment, share. We'll see you soon. Thank you for listening, people. And we got gigs this weekend. So, well, we had gigs this weekend. One of them got cancelled. So I was supposed to be doing a 16th